Fat Dag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, Fat Dag.
I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 220 of Wise Advice. Man, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 219 as much as I did working with it. And little impromptu, didn't get to do it live, obviously on Facebook. The opening and the closing, the actual show, of course, was on Facebook. If you're just only hearing the audio in the app, I want you to go to Facebook, the Wise Advice Fat Dag Facebook page, and I want you to look for the video where we did a live session after the Indy Ultimate. It'll piece together the audio that you hear. You can put a name and a face to all of the voices that you heard, and it just was such an inspirational time. We had an amazing time just going one by one by one. It's kind of given me this whole concept that maybe having an actual voice on the show in addition to mine might be something that we explore in the future. So hang on for that. You never know where this show goes. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I wouldn't even had a show, so we can't tell you when and if that's going to come. But I think it's a very real possibility as we roll forward. As always, you can always get the podcast in the Wise Advice app. Hopefully that's where you're listening. That is the best way to experience the show. Outside of that, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, we're in iTunes. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we're there. I truly appreciate you clicking like and subscribing and sharing and all that stuff so other people can get here as well. Before we get too far into the show, I want to give a special shout out to Daisy. It looks like a couple times maybe she's popped in on the live show and we just forgot to say hi to her. So hi, Daisy, officially on the app. You can play this over and over and over again. But looks like there's a little over 100 and maybe 120 of us live across all the platforms watching in. Thank you all for being here. Let's open the show with this very, very emotional email. And I really just want to kind of just take a minute to let it all set in as you hear it. It's from Peg, and Peg's joining us live on Facebook. She says, "Dear Mike, Fat Dag, as I begin this letter, I'm not even sure if you'll remember me, but I had dinner with you in Indy along with my friends Dina and Lori. I listen to your Facebook Live as often as I can, and I'm catching up on the podcast whenever that I have some downtime. So to tell you my why, I must backtrack a little bit. Everyone has a backstory that has brought them to where they are now and to their why. From a very young age, I learned to be an emotional eater. Food was the answer to all the questions. What will make you feel better? Food. As a young person, I was very active and I didn't put on a lot of weight. I have never been a stick model thin, but I wasn't overweight or obese as a child either. But then some life trauma happened and I withdrew into myself. I developed early and got a lot of attention. We were a military family and we moved a lot, but Denver had been the longest place we lived as a family. My dad went on a lot of unaccompanied tours of duty, and he was about to do it again after 6 years of living together. By this point, I'm 10 years old, trying to deal with trauma that I'm not equipped to deal with, and while it was being overlooked, not in a woe is me way, it just as a matter of fact. I have a mentally challenged sister, and at the time I was 10 years old. My mom's mom lived with us as well. Food and therapy were my mom's best friends. It was her coping mechanism. With my dad gone so much, it left a lot on her shoulders to handle. We got orders to move, Dad got orders to move to Japan without his family. So at 10 years old, with no say in staying put or moving, we pack up our belongings and we moved to rural Indiana. I cried all the way from Denver, Colorado to Kansas City, Kansas. Once we settled in, that's when I started using food as a soother. My dad's mom was heavyset and also thought that that was all the answers to life problems. So a move that I didn't want, plus emotions of the trauma from what happened as a young child up until we moved, well, it was a neighbor, not a family member, just to clarify, it equaled a very unhappy, emotional wreck for a 10-year-old who didn't know how to cope and started turning to food for comfort. Fast forward to high school. I was slightly overweight, but not obese, but on the fast track to becoming so. I got through my high school years and a bit on the heavy side, but still not obese. Then college happens, and that's where my whole other person that I've carried with me for 33 years comes into play. I'm a 20-year-old by this time, living on my own in a big city for the first time since I was a child. I am very naive and trusting. I start dating a guy who I met at orientation. We discover we are in the same program, and we are partnered up for a class project. I didn't really know him, and I was naive and trusting enough that I believed what he said was true. I learned one afternoon that I could never trust him. In a strange place, not knowing a soul and not knowing where to turn, I denied what happened to me, and I went about life only to find out I was pregnant. I used food, even during my pregnancy, to build a fortress around myself. I thought if no one ever found me attractive, they could never hurt me. I would never go through that again. I didn't count on meeting and marrying my now husband of 27 years and a wonderful father to the sweet baby girl I gave birth to. So fast forward to last year when I'm told by a doctor in the ER that I have a blood clot in my lung and that if they can't do the scan soon, it's a matter of 10 seconds from the lung to the heart. It's not a matter of if you will die, but that I may not live to see the end of this day. Talk about life flashing before your eyes. Mine did. There were other health issues going on at the time. Last year, before that I was at my heaviest I'd ever been, the scale was reaching a number I never thought I would ever be, and I realized I needed to get serious and get healthy. I joined Weight Watchers last year, but I was losing weight at an unhealthy rate due to the health issues and severe food poisoning I had. I had to quit. It was the doctor's orders. This February, the scale started climbing again. At this point, I was a year in on my medication, so I started watching the scale. March, I started losing a bit more, and so on the 3rd of April of this year, I joined Weight Watchers for the last time. I have lost almost half of the person I gained 33 years ago. I'm healthier than I've been in a long time. My why is different this time, and Weight Watchers, what I didn't mention is that I've done this program and I did it well a few times before. I know it works. This time is so different for me, though, because as I lose this whole other person, I'm also losing all of the baggage that came along with her. I'm not just getting physically healthy, I am mentally healthy as well. So thank you, Fat Dag, for your encouragement in sharing this journey and being a great wingman for us all. You are a blessing to all that know you and an encouragement to stay on this journey to a healthier me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you do and for your service to both our country and for the community that you have created. Blessings and prayers, Peg. Peg, I absolutely do remember that time. You guys drove up to the meeting, and we had a lovely dinner, and we just sat there probably till 10, 11 o'clock at night. It seemed like maybe even later. And I try to remember as much as I can. Of course, my brain doesn't allow me to do all that, but I remember your story very vividly. And the piece that got me was the piece that you recaptured here. Is when you walked into your doctor's office that afternoon for basically a routine checkup, and the doctor said, "You're not leaving. You have about 10 seconds to live, and we got to get this fixed." And I can't even imagine being told that. And so that stuck with me, and I'm glad to see that you're now, many months after that meeting, you're still continuing to do amazing work. You're continuing to do well. You're now almost lost half of that person and the emotional baggage that came along with your incredible life to this point. Your childhood obviously full of trauma, and as a military family, having to pick up the pieces every time you PCS and move, I understand that. And so what I want to say to that is I can't change obviously the past, and I can't go back and wave this magic wand and change it all for you. And partially, what I want you to know now is that you now can do that going forward. And it sounds like you have. As you ended your email saying that this journey has changed mentally for you, what I heard is that the childhood that you didn't feel like you had, you've now regained and brought that confidence back, and you're now giving yourself the greatest adulthood that you can give, and that's the gift that only you can give to yourself. And so you were robbed of it early on, and here you are now going, yeah, I'm taking it back, and I'm going to do this my way, and I'm gonna put all that aside. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. And it sounds like a lot of what what the food making us feel better, and food being the the answer to all the questions. I think when we really think about that as a scenario, that ends up being learned behavior. And I'll share this with our entire audience now, is that, people are watching everything we do, whether we understand that or know that. If you have children, your children are paying attention to the cues that you're sending them. If you become stressed, angry, emotional, upset, and you turn to food, they learn that is the coping mechanism as well. So it's important for us to get our lives on track so that those who mimic us and monitor us and rely on us for support understand that maybe that isn't always the answer. And so, as you go through this complete transformation of yourself to a completely new, happy, healthier you, keep that in mind as well. And so I am extremely proud of you. And, I was hoping to see you up for the Indy Ultimate. And, like I said, it was unfortunate that it didn't work out, but that would have been a blast. We will certainly have to meet up again. I want to just, again, see you in person and tell you how awesome you're doing, just like I did that night. Tell you how proud of you I am. Tell you how glad I am that you seek the care of your medical provider and you're taking care of you. And having lost half of the person, almost lost half the person you gained 33 years ago, doesn't that feel amazing? And when you end that with, I am mentally healthy as well, isn't that really the goal? I mean, I think it is. I think if you can turn your life around and become mentally in a much better place, the rest of it is just kind of, just kind of goes with that. When you put your mind first and put your mind in the right place first, you truly are capable of anything. And I'm glad to see you doing it and getting it done. Thanks for joining us live on Facebook as we read the email. I can see the support from the entire community. So thank you. The next email up I want to read comes in. It says from Teresa. She says, Dear Mike, Fat Dag, first off, I apologize for the long email. I have written and rewritten this email several times in the last few hours. I'm going to send this one when I'm done, before that I lose my courage. I've been a wingman for a little while now, and I've also watched some podcasts live on Facebook. On Sunday, August 26th, I became a patron. Truly an honor to do so. I was excited to see that I would be able to participate in the live chat on 8/27 on Discord. That live chat, I was PatSkirl68. The connection to you and everyone in on the chat touched my heart profoundly. Let me explain a little backstory. I am 50 and I've been significantly overweight the majority of my adult life. 26 years ago, my son was born, my first baby, a beautiful, healthy baby boy. 6 weeks later, our world was turned upside down. He was diagnosed with a liver disease, which would eventually lead to psoriasis. They did a procedure, actually a 7-hour surgery, on my 8-week-old that would help with the bile flow, but essentially at some point, my son would need a liver transplant. Boom. There it was. Our new reality, hospital stays, meds, procedures, labs. I'm going to be completely vulnerable here and put myself out there and say, I'm a food addict, a closet eater, an emotional eater, and it goes on and on. That is how I dealt with the fear, the pain, watching my son struggle in all aspects of his life, constantly putting me on the back burner. That's what I thought was best for everyone. I had joined Weight Watchers several times before, maybe 4 or 5 times, only to be successful for a few weeks or months. Then I would let life take over again. I lived like a hermit, no self-worth. I did whatever needed to be done for my family, and to the outside world, I had my fake smile plastered about my face. I'm also going to admit I was going through the motions of life. I was not living. 3 years ago, the need for my son to receive a liver, he was 23, became dire. His liver was shutting down. The psoriasis, his health was in a critical state. He was a blood type that was difficult to find. He was a universal donor, but not a receiver. A few weeks later, we got the call. It's time. We have a match. We have a liver. About 8 months after my son's transplant, I was sitting on the couch in what my family called my spot, watching my daughter play. I had my baby girl 20 years after my son. Needless to say, it was a surprise. She asked me, "Mommy, come play," patting on the floor with her hand. I didn't know what to say. I was near 300 pounds, and being on the floor hurt. And then the embarrassment of having the need to get help to get up was just overwhelming. I didn't want to just go through the motions like I had with my son. That was an aha moment for me. I signed up for Weight Watchers that night, and I went to my first meeting the next morning. Fast forward to today, just over 2 years, I am 100 pounds down. But I reached that mark, actually 110 pounds down, a year ago. I was 5 pounds away from goal, and I totally freaked out. It's been 11 months since struggling, but still here, I've gained 20 pounds back. I'm scared. Old habits are coming back. I'm annoyed with myself. I'm mad at myself, which starts that horrible cycle of eat, hate what I've done, eat some more. Ugh. Who does that? 5 pounds away from achieving this awesomeness, and I sabotage myself? Why couldn't I lose those last 5 pounds? So now I'm reaching out. I found this community, the Wingman and you. I do not want to go back to where I was. Life is so much better for me and my family. I have so many non-scale victories, like no more blood pressure medication, heart rate at 50 rather than the 90s. Why can't I celebrate me? I went from having difficulty walking to running 5Ks, from living in the house to going out on the beach and amusement parks with my family. I was feeling so comfortable in my own skin, but now I feel like a failure. The Discord live chat hit home. You, Fat Dag, and the others said, "I believe in you." And as I sit here in tears, I need you to know how much that meant to me. I do not hear that often, especially from myself. I have not been to a meeting in a bit because I'm embarrassed, ashamed of myself with the lack of motivation and the gain that I know that I'll have. But you asked me during the live chat if I was going to a meeting soon. I need the accountability of the meeting and the weigh-in. I will be attending the meeting this Thursday morning. I'm not quitting. I'm not throwing in the towel. I am not giving up. I'm stepping on the scale Thursday despite my anxiety. Again, I need to thank you all. This community is amazing. Thank you, Mike, for creating an environment where I feel safe and not judged. I'm feeling uplifted. Sincerely, Therese, and it's TREEE 1217 on Connect if you want to reach out. Therese, that is the most important piece. I want to start from the back and work forward. Yes, this community is completely safe, and there is no judgment because we've all lived it. We've all gone through it. We understand everything you wrote here resonates with so many of us. And so what's interesting, and it's awesome to see you joining us live here on Facebook as well. When we get to the point where we understand that we can do the program, that is there. Very few of us doubt that the actual program works. And so we have the tools, and I've said this more than once on many different episodes, that every single program works. It doesn't matter which program you choose. It just doesn't matter. And so every program that's available, you can find successful people. And that common denominator is the people who are doing it understand their why. They understand what it's going to take to get it done, and they stay laser focused into that mindset to do it. You have done that. You've done it a couple times, in fact. And so that's the beauty of what you go into this program knowing is you have 100% confidence that the actual program works. You have 100% confidence that you can work the program, and you have the confidence to know that you can lose 100 pounds on the program because you've done it more than once. That is the awesome part of your email. And now the piece that you now get to figure out is, okay, now how do we make it stick? That's the $1,000,000 question, right? And we do need to understand that. We need to say, okay, what am I going to do this? Well, first of all, let me end it, or let me say, I want to tell you one more time, I absolutely do believe in you. I understand the old habits. I understand them coming back. I understand the being annoyed with yourself. I understand being mad at yourself. And I understand that bad cycle that brings. It's why one of the things that I insist on in my own journey is I have to push all of that aside. I have to find the positive in every single scenario. I need that for my own mental clarity to know that in everything that I'm doing, there are things that I'm doing right, even on the days that I'm not doing other things right. And when I focus on the things that I'm doing right and I free my brain to continue to look for more of them, I consider that my focus, and that's my dialed in. So as you've gone through this, multiple times, only to be successful for a few weeks, and then you let life take over again, what I want you to let you know is life isn't taking over. Life is just becoming focused on something else. And I want you to bring the focus back to you, back to your health, back to your journey, back to why you started this program in the first place. Your email is incredibly powerful. You have an incredibly powerful why. You have 2 beautiful children, varying in ages that are going to need you and need your support for the rest of their lives. That aha moment that you experienced on the floor, that's real. That is a real wake-up call for someone to say, hey, you can do this. This is your motivation. Take this inspiration, move forward with this, make decisions daily that align with that goal. Consider yourself very, very fortunate that you're able to change your life so significantly that now you're off blood pressure medication, your heart rate is low, you're running 5Ks. And so as you get closer and closer to goal, I think one of the things that a lot of us get caught up with is we simply don't know how to celebrate. So we get so close to something that we truly, for a long time, have thought it wasn't possible. We've probably even been told that it wasn't possible. We've probably even been shamed into thinking it's not even worth trying. And so when we get to the point where we get so close in this journey, that scale takes the pressure and it just magnifies it. And so we're afraid to see a completely new person because in the weight loss cycle, we have this overwhelming sense of community. We have this overwhelming support. We have that positive reinforcement of watching the number go down. And when we get to the point where we can call it goal, that all goes away. And that's a scary time for a lot of us. But what I want you to know, and I want you to know confidently, is that's the best part of this journey. And when you get to the point where you say, I did that. I'm proud of me for accomplishing it. The journey doesn't end. I've referred to it more than once as crossing the finish line of your weight loss journey. But what you have to do is then you start a brand new journey behind that. So I want you to kind of put the numbers aside. They're irrelevant at this point. You have completely changed your life. That's goal. Period. I don't care. That is goal. You have completely changed your life. You're down 100 pounds. You're off blood pressure medication. Your heart rate is back to a normal athletic heart rate. That is goal for me. And it should be goal for you. So now what I want you to do is I want you to celebrate that. And you're going to have to celebrate that in a totally different way than you've celebrated in the past. A lot of us, we don't know how to celebrate because we started this journey. We were one person. We started this journey. We worked through the journey, and there was never really an opportunity during the journey to have a full-on celebration because we are so laser focused on getting to goal. When we get to goal, the only way we know how to celebrate is the way our old self celebrated. I don't want you to do that. I want you to look for new celebrations. I want you to go run another 5K. I want you to go lay on the floor and play on the floor with your daughter. I want you to find other ways to celebrate that don't involve the old ways that you're celebrating. You absolutely can do this. You are absolutely not a failure. You are absolutely a walking, breathing, living success story in this entire journey, and you would have traded everything you had to be at this point in your journey right now. You know that. You absolutely know that. I'm so glad you joined us in the live chat. I'll talk about that just briefly, just to kind of share. We opened up a chat line every Monday where I'm off from my Air Force job. We do a chat and it's for the patrons who are providing the financial support to the show. And so we just sit in there and we spend about an hour together just kind of talking about whatever. And so you can certainly find that if you go to fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron. It'll link you in there. It's as little as $1 a month, but it gets you into a whole different level of chat that we kind of just, something we're experimenting with to see if that provides additional support. And it's good to see that it absolutely does do that. So last but not least, I want to end up into your email where it says that you were going to admit that you are only going through the motions of life and you are not living. And I want you to know that I see that similar comment in so many emails. I need you to believe, and I need you to know that what you are experiencing, what you're going through, is absolutely normal. That's the coolest thing about this journey. That's the coolest thing about this community. That's the coolest thing about what we do, is that we learn that the shame, the guilt, the whatever we were living and just going through the motions of life, we learn that, or we believe at the time we're doing that we're the only person on the planet possibly going through that. What this community teaches us and tells us is that's absolutely not true. What this community teaches us and tells us is that we have other people that we can walk with who truly understand the journey, and that's what makes this community incredibly special. So, Teresa, thank you so much. I'll say it again just so you hear it loud and clear. I believe in you. With everything I have, I believe in you. It's okay if you're at that point now where you're not quite there yet. It's totally okay. I believe in you. The entire community believes in you, and we will walk with you until you get to the point where you believe it as well, and we will carry you to whatever place you want to go. So thank you so much for reaching out. Thanks for joining us live on Facebook as well. Out of Bainbridge, Georgia, Anna writes in, says, "Hello, Fat Dag. Hey, you asked us to send in your celebrations in your podcast, so here I am. I just returned from a full week in Mexico, visiting family and eating all kinds of foods. I walked a lot and I drank water. I just realized the amazing thing of getting back on plan as soon as we can. Just 2 days of being focused and eating right. I am happy to report that I maintained. I took a picture the day that I left on the 21st and a picture of today on the 29th, just 7 days later, and it was the same. I was so scared how bad the scale was going to be when I was coming back from Mexico. I'm so glad my healthy habits kicked in. Yay." Anna, congratulations. So this is a cool email in the sense where I see this so many times. And so regardless of what it is that causes you to get off track, whether it's a vacation, whether it's a change in your lifestyle, a change in your family, something significant happens in your life that puts you out of your routine and it mixes you up, and you eat differently than you were eating on plan, and there's that sluggish feeling where you just feel different. And because you feel different, your brain thinks you're actually going to weigh more because you feel It's an actual word. I don't know how you spell it, but you just feel And so that feeling tells us don't get on the scale because you don't feel right. And so we equate that I don't feel right with I must weigh more. And that's not always the case. And then on top of that, more often than not, I've seen this time and time again as a leader in the meeting room. I've seen people go away for a week or two, come back to a gain, and then just strictly get back on plan quickly, and that thing gets eradicated quicker than you'll ever know. In your case, you came right back into the exact same after just, boom, right back in plan. What you have to do is exactly what you did, is you have to understand that there are two ways to do this. You can make a plan before you do this. You can plan all you want, and you can make a plan, make a solid plan, and you can work that plan. At some point, and then you can go on vacation all through your plan. At some point, you can either accept that worked, and if for some reason it didn't work, then all you need to do is make a new plan. You can either be plan before the event or plan after the event, but you just plan every single aspect of this thing, and you get it done. Keep doing the great work. Now, I almost wonder if we just got done the Indie Ultimate. You heard episode 219 talk about it. I almost wonder how many of the folks who came to the Indie Ultimate right now are back into their original plan, rocking it. And when they go to their meeting this week, they're going to absolutely feel like $1 million. And I hope that's the case for all of you. But it was interesting to see that you said you were so scared of how bad the scale was going to be when you were coming back. And it's funny, again, we put so much pressure on ourselves to have a number validate our life, and it truly has nothing to do with that. So thank you so much. It looks like you joined us live on Facebook as well. Shane, thank you for that. Keep up the amazing work. Keep rocking your program. Thank you for sending in your celebrations. That's what this show is all about, is us talking through our celebrations and us talking through our struggles and talking through all the amazing things we have going. We absolutely can get it done. Out of Fullerton, California, Cheryl writes in, she says, I rarely ever use my additional points, so I stay within my daily points every day, yet I don't seem to be losing weight. I find that I'm hungry more than I want to be, so I eat a lot of fruit since it's free. I am so frustrated and feeling hopeless. I've joined and quit Weight Watchers at least 5 times over the years. I rarely last a month, but this time I've been hanging in there for 3 months. I can't afford the plan that includes meetings, so I go to Overeaters Anonymous meetings along with doing my Weight Watcher plan. But I'm stuck. I'm discouraged. I'm frustrated. What am I doing wrong? Do I need to change something? I thought as long as I track my points, I'd be successful. Well, that's not happening. I've lost only 27 pounds, and I'm stuck here, losing and gaining the same 2 to 4 pounds. Any direction would be greatly appreciated. Cheryl, I circled a bunch of things in your email. First and foremost, thanks for writing in. I want to point out the obvious first. You've been on the program for 3 months. You've lost 27 pounds. Way to go. I know you used the word only 27 pounds. 27 pounds in 3 months is incredible work. It's incredible focus. It's you dialed in. It's you getting it done. It's you taking care of you and getting it done. Now, here's where I want to offer you some kind of encouragement and get you in the right path. It says you open up the very first 2 words. I rarely ever use my additional points. Use them. There's a point in this journey where your body starts changing. I'm not a doctor, so this isn't a medical diagnosis, but there's a point in this journey where your body starts changing, and it goes into a preservation mode. And it's realizing that maybe you're going to kind of feed it less and less and less, so it wants to hold on more and more and more. The weekly points are part of the program. Let me say it again. The weekly points are part of the program. We don't say, here's a whole bunch of points you can't touch, but they look really cool in your app, right? That's not how the program works. We give you a set of points for the day. We give you a set of points for the week. That is there to be used, and you figure out where and how you can use them. Now, I'll be honest with you, those who track really, really, really well can do really well by eating most of their weeklies. Those who are a little sloppy in their tracking, they usually have to err a little less on the side of eating them, because it's just simple math. You're still consuming them whether you account for them or not. So I want you to be very diligent in your tracking, but I want you to go in and use your weeklies and see what that happens. Use them for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. See what that does for you. If you find that you're hungry more than you want to be, that's not how I want you to work this program. I don't want you to be hungry. I want you to fill up on protein. I want you to get the food that you need. Go ahead and go to Google. I don't have the number for me, but go to Google and type in how much protein should I be eating for my age, gender, height, weight. It'll give you a number in grams that you should be kind of aiming towards every single day for a healthy, fit lifestyle. That will take care of a lot of your hunger issues. And then last, you said you eat a lot of fruit since it's free. It's not free. It's 0 points. We've talked about this before. Free and 0 are completely different things. 0 means we're being accountable to it. Free means it's a free-for-all, and you can have 20 apples, 20 bananas, 20 grapefruits in the same day. That still has a caloric intake, and there's some sugar in there. Even though it's natural sugar, that certainly messes up your day. Rather than going to the 0 point fruit, I want you to add in more protein. Keep some of your fruit in there. That's very, very important to do. But give up the feeling of being frustrated and hopeless. You have an entire community here willing to support you throughout this journey. You've been, the success I see here is you rarely last more than a month, but this time you've been hanging on for 3 months. That's 3 times longer than before, which is absolutely amazing. You have a plan. You're working other meetings, doing what you need to do to survive. What I challenge you and what I want you to do is I want you to kick out a couple of these words out of this email. I want you to rewrite this email and completely change the perspective. I want you to read it something along the lines of, "Dear Mike, I'm not sure how the weekly points work. Can you please explain that to me? I find that I'm hungry all the time, but what I want to do is I want to be full. I want to be satisfied. I'm tired of feeling frustrated and hopeless, and I know there is a better way. I've joined Weight Watchers 5 times over the years. Normally I quit after the first month, but this time, damn it, I'm 3 months into it and I'm going strong. Because of my budget, I can't afford the plan. So what I did is I sought out another way to get the support, and I went to Overeaters Anonymous, and that is providing the support that I need. I'm stuck, I'm discouraged, and I'm frustrated, but you know what? I know I've got to find a way to keep doing this. There's something has to change, and I reach out and ask you for how do I change it? I'm tracking everything, so I'm doing an amazing job doing that, but maybe there is a piece that I'm missing. I'm so proud of myself. I've lost 27 pounds in this 3 months. And here I am. I want to just continue on this journey. Mike, any help that you can give me would be greatly appreciated because I am going to get the goal. I want you to change your mindset, Cheryl. I want you to open up the perspective, look for all the amazing things that you've done. I want you to reach out, tell me once you've done them, and then absolutely let's celebrate. Celebrating is the part of this journey that we all have to learn how to do better. I talked about it earlier in the show, is that for the most part, we don't know how to celebrate as a healthy, fit, athletic person. And you don't have to be athletic, but we just don't know how to celebrate. Celebrations for us almost always include food. Find new ways to celebrate. One of them, sending an email into the show. Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice Podcast link, send in your celebrations, like I said, your comments, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I really want you to email in those celebrations. I want you to relearn how to celebrate. I want you to be proud of what you're doing. When you're proud of what you're doing, other people take notice. They completely change their life. Just like you heard so many people time and time and time again validate that it's possible. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you could focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.